Hi, this is Scott from S&S Innovations, and in this video we're going to check out the MK6 from Viking Machinery out of New Zealand. This is an amazing device. I found out about it a while ago and I used it as a way to launch my new company, S&S Innovations. Right here, what you see in front of you are two versions of the MK6. It comes in multiple colors. We have the traditional gray, which is just like this one right here, but we also have it in blue, red, and black, and we have multicolor as well. So these are some of the options that you have with the MK6. So some of the key features of the MK6, what makes it very, very special, is one, its ability to handle a great deal of primers. The number of primers that you can load into the MK6 is somewhere between 2,000 and 2,500 primers at one time. It depends if they're the small primers or the large primers. You just simply take the container in which you get your primers in, you put them into the MK6, dump them in, and then away you go. What's great is it will run up to 3,000 primers an hour, so it's very fast. Now this isn't just some device made overseas that's cheap. This is a commercial grade quality device. What that means to you is it's designed to run for hundreds of thousands of primers and run several hours in a day. This is not something that's going to break down in a month or two. It's a device that's going to keep running over for a very, very long time. It's super easy to connect it to many of the different presses. It runs on the Mark 7, Apex 10. It runs with the Dillon 1050, 1100, as well as the 650 or 750 family if you choose. It will also run with the Franklin Arsenal X10 if that's what you would like to do. The key thing about the way the MK6 works is it needs to be connected to a primer tube system that remains stable and still during the loading process. There are some other presses out there, like for example the Hornaday, where the primer tube goes up and down as the press activates. The MK6 will not work with those. It will only work with the presses where the primer tube is fixed in place when the press is operating. The other thing that's great about the MK6 is it works with pretty much any of the primers that are readily available in the market today, whether they're CCI or Federal or those types of primers, or even the ones that are coming from overseas, like the Gen X primers and Serviso primers. It works just fine with those primers as well. So pretty much any of the primers that you're going to be using in your pistols and or your rifles, the MK6 will work perfectly well. So the MK6 is designed to run on 220 volt, 50 hertz. Unfortunately, here in the US, we run in 110 volt, 60 hertz. So because of that, we have to plug in the MK6 into a transformer. The transformer is included with your purchase. I have a separate video talking about how to hook up the transformer in order to get it to work properly. So let's talk a little bit about some of the detailed features of the MK6 and show you a little bit about some of the components and how it works. When you get your MK6, you're going to have several parts that you're going to need to install and set up. First, let's talk about the controller. This is the controller here on the bottom. This is where you're going to connect your power to the transformer, as well as the power for the MK6. On the top side here, this is the controller for the sensor. So that will be plugged into the port here on the top. On the front here of the controller, there's a handful of buttons here that are going to be important. First is the power button that is over here on the side. You also have a master power switch here on the bottom. There are two little buttons here on the right hand side. This is how you control the speed of the MK6. You press up, it'll go faster. Press down, you go slower. What it's really doing is controlling the rate of vibration. And so we'll have a separate video on how to properly set that up. We won't cover that here. The middle button is probably something you will not use. It is actually a setting for high and low. In most situations for us here in the US, we will run that on high. Okay, in the MK6 box, you're going to get several small parts. Let's take a look at some of these parts that come in the bag. In the bag that you'll get, you're going to see these two primer tubes. There's one for small primers, and there's one for large primers. You can see here, I'll possibly see here on the screen, one's a little bit smaller than the other in diameter. They will each come with a little cap on them like this right here. This is how the tube is going to attach to the primer tube here. When you get this, you're going to install it by using this adapter. You'll slide the primer tube in like that. You'll take the cap, put the cap on top, and then just simply screw it on. And then when you're ready, you'll take the primer tube and simply put the flex tube inside of here, all the way in, and then you're ready to go. You'll be able to use these. This adapter is set up specifically for the Apex 10. We also have an adapter that you can connect for the Dylan as well. One of the things you'll have in there is called the selector slides. That's these little devices that you see right here. These are used that we put into the MK6 to make sure that we reject all the primers that are upside down, and the ones that are right side up are going to pass through properly. So let's take a look at that. Here on the MK6, if we look at the top, this is the bowl that you will put all your primers in. And we're going to take the selector slides and easily just slide them right in here. You'll unscrew the little thumb screw, slide this in like that, and then carefully screw down the thumb screw. And you'll do the same for the other side. Once they're installed, it'll look something like this. Now we have another video that we'll be showing on how to set this up properly and tune these selector slides. That's not for this particular video here. In addition, we have this little top here. This little top right here is one's for the small primers and one's for the larger primer. You will need to insert that for the appropriate one. In addition, one of the other parts that you'll need to put in is this little adapter right here. One is set for the small primers and the other is for the large primers. Let's take a look at the MK6 running on the Apex 10. And that pretty much covers the MK6 and how it works. Thanks for joining us on this video and learning more about the MK6.